The Hacienda de Nuestra Señora de la Purísima Concepción Ranch of Our Lady of the Immaculate Conception, where the young Americans John Grady Cole and Rollins find work as cowboys, is a huge spread owned by Don Hector Roca y Villarreal, a wealthy Mexican aristocrat. John Grady quickly proves himself a master horseman when, with Rollins' help, he successfully breaks a group of 16 horses in only 3 days, a remarkable feat. This success earns the Americans the favor of Armando, the ranch's foreman, and of his brother Antonio. John Grady is called in to see Don Hector, and quickly impresses the rancher with his knowledge of horses. Don Hector promotes him. John Grady moves out of the cowboy's bunkroom and into a room of his own in the stable. John Grady will help Don Hector breed the magnificent new stallion that he has bought. John Grady's move to the stable also gives him greater exposure to the rancher's beautiful daughter, Alejandra. One Sunday, Rollins and John Grady go into the neighboring town, La Vega, and buy new clothing. That night they go to a dance at the local Grange Hall. Alejandra is there, and she and John Grady dance and go walking outside. One evening, while riding Don Hector's new stallion bareback across the ranch, John Grady once again meets Alejandra, whom he has not seen since the night of the dance. She commands him to let her ride the stallion, and he is forced to accede. As he brings her horse back to the barn, however, he is seen by a shadowy someone from the ranch house. Soon afterward the Dueña Alfonsa, Alejandra's aunt, calls John Grady for an audience at the ranch house. After they play chess, she orders him not to be seen again with Alejandra. 5 nights later, Alejandra comes to visit John Grady at night. Secretly, they begin to ride out together at night through the ranch. One night he swims out naked into the ranch's lake, and she too removes her clothes and joins him. There comes a day, perhaps immediately afterwards, when 5 Mexican soldiers ride up to the ranch house. There is the sense that they are there to inquire after the Americans, but they leave without taking further action. The next night, and for the subsequent 9 nights, Alejandra again visits John Grady in his room, and they make love. Then Alejandra goes back to stay with her mother in Mexico City, where she lives, and John Grady is again invited to the ranch house to play pool with Don Hector, who tells him that Alejandra is being sent away for schooling in France. It is only a week afterwards that John Grady learns from Antonio that Alejandra has not been sent to France at all. She is being kept inside the ranch house. A few days later finds John Grady and Rollins in the mountains, roping wild horses. Don Hector's greyhounds walk into their campfire circle one night, and the two suspect that Don Hector has found out about the affair, and come to the mountains to hunt and kill them. The next morning, the Mexican soldiers return. This time, they take John Grady and Rollins away in chains. Like a lot of tough men before them, John Grady Cole and Cormac McCarthy are both romantics. All the stoicism of John Grady's cowboy code, all of his emotional self-repression and his long silences, serve not to conceal but to throw into sharp relief his innate romanticism. When he runs into Alejandra riding on the ranch, he is defenseless. Her eyes had altered the world forever in the space of a heartbeat. This is a little bit of a surprising sentence to read in this novel. For one thing, a good argument could be made that it is a poor sentence, cliched, univocative, naive for such a master stylist as McCarthy. For another, love at first sight may seem a strange emotion for a cowboy like John Grady Cole. What follows, too, when looked at from a certain vantage point, is something of a predictable romantic plot. A poor boy falls in love with a rich girl, and eventually wins her heart, beginning a passionate affair despite the machinations of her powerful relatives.